The importance and influence of the letter to the Romans for the history of Christianity cannot be exaggerated. This is because in it, Paul unfolds this huge explanation of what he twice calls my gospel. And this is also what makes this letter so unusual compared with his other letters. A useful comparison is 1 Corinthians. As Mackie said in the previous video, Paul did not found this church in Rome. He doesn't know this community personally. But he did found the church in Corinth, and he knows them very well. When he writes his first letter to them, it is in response to a number of questions he has received from them, plus some reports he has got from visitors. Thus, the whole letter grows out of his deep relationship with them, addressing problems of immorality, factionalism, abuse of the Lord's Supper, questions about worship, and so on. None of this obtains with Romans. Instead of responding to questions, Paul makes an opening statement and then launches into a vast argument which lasts at least until chapter 11. The problems of the Roman Church are unknown to him, but the treasures of the gospel he opens up are applicable to every one of them, as they are for every person in every time and place. The reason for emphasizing all of this is that it will hopefully help us read Romans better. Paul has a large argument that he is putting together. It is useful, therefore, to look back at where Paul has just been and where he is heading to. At a couple of points, Paul will change his focus, but the overall topic is the same, the gospel and its outworkings. At the beginning of the letter, Paul is mounting a universal guilty verdict. He wants to show that the whole world is compromised fatally by sin. He does this so he can really show what the gospel is. All of this comes from his statement in chapter 1 in verses 16 to 17. For I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for salvation to everyone who has faith, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For in it the righteousness of God is revealed through faith for faith. As it is written, the one who is righteous will live by faith. The questions Paul is answering then are, how is it the power of God for salvation? How does it apply universally to the Jew and to the Greek? How is God's righteousness revealed in faith? In order to answer these questions, Paul must put humanity in the dock. He must show, as he does in chapter 1, that the basic sin of idolatry, exchanging the glory of God for man-made things, creatures for the Creator, leads to exchanges of other kinds. The end result is total corruption. At this point, Paul imagines the Jews in his audience shaking their heads and tut-tutting, as no doubt at one point he would have done the same. Yet, yes, it is exactly like that out in the Gentile world. We know, we live in Rome. So much idolatry and sexual sin and violence and so on. We have seen it. We live amongst it. But in chapter 2, Paul focuses on them. Are you so different? Are you actually hypocrites? No doubt the Jews avoid the blatant idolatry of the Greco-Roman world, but you rob temples? Do you commit adultery? Do you steal? Paul contends that the Jews are likewise ensnared in sin, despite their knowing better. Here already begins one of the deep and complex themes of the gospel, the law. Paul imagines a Jew boasting of all the benefits of knowledge, wisdom, and light, and the covenant sign of circumcision, which confirmed them as part of the chosen people. All these things are true, likewise their role in tutoring the ignorant pagans of the earth. But, Paul interjects his imaginary opponent, if you also do these same things, what is the real difference of all this privilege and these gifts? Don't they simply become nothing? Notice that Paul does not criticize Jewish privilege because it is very real. What he criticizes is hypocrisy. These privileges are naught without obedience from the heart. To underscore this point, Paul even says the Gentiles are better off than the Jews if they obey the law off their own bat. It doesn't matter that they don't have a Moses, an Exodus, or anything else. Their actions show the law is written on their hearts. Paul will return a number of times to the question of the law, its value and ongoing role in the life of the believer. But for now, his main goal is to catch both Jews and Gentiles in his argumentative net. He caught the Gentiles in chapter 1, the Jews in chapter 2, and in chapter 3 he will take his argument to its first major conclusion, where he begins to answer the questions raised from his statement in 1:16 to 17.